Hello and welcome to your weekly Premier League Darts podcast. This is Talk Ball, live, pre-recorded and exclusive on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel. Coming to you every single Friday until the end of May. My name is Harry Durham, and with me as always is two-time major winner and former world number one, Colin Lloyd. We'll look back on all of the action from Berlin as the darts went to Germany, and we'll be staying there this weekend for the European Tour, so we'll get into that as well. I'm going to be completely honest and start this off by saying I reckon it was the worst week of standard in the darts. We're going to look back over everything. Stephen Bunting finally picking up his first, not just his first win, a nightly win. 3 on the bounce. You just can't believe that he's done it. I thought I was dreaming at one point. I really did. Plus, we'll look ahead to Manchester next weekend. Do us a favour, like and subscribe just down below. Share us a lot of love. Any questions that you got for Colin Lloyd as well, let us know in the comment section. Colin Lloyd, we're recording on this Friday morning, and so almost like a new era in the Premier League season where Stephen Bunting has not only won 1 game, 2 games, but he won the whole bloody night.
Morning, Harry. It's a funny old game, isn't it? From not being able to get a win in the first 7 weeks, and then not only get a win, like you say, but to go on and actually win the whole evening. I mean, he started off, he was 3-1 up, Harry, and averaging 81. And I thought, oh no, here we go again. Poor old Bunty. Come the end of it, he's got through 6-2 against Nathan Aspinall, and he's managed to push it up in the next 4 legs because he ended up winning 6-2 from 3-1 down, 3-1 up. He ends up with over 100 average, and you thought to yourself, well, fair play. Can he build on this? But I totally agree with you, Harry. It was a funny night, wasn't it? It was flat. Yeah. There was no flashes of brilliance, no massive outshots, the crowd weren't really raucous.
I thought they were really good at the start, I thought they were really good at the start, then it just went a bit flat, and I don't know if that's because Littler went out in his quarter-final to Chris Dobie. Yeah. I think there is actually an element of that where a lot of these paying fans go and watch it. You get British fans that have come over, that have gone over to Berlin, I should say, just see that, just so they can go on a little holiday at the same time as well. So I think it's that element about it. At the same time, it was kind of like when Gezi went out in Cardiff in the quarterfinal to Rob Cross. Everything just fell a bit flat until Luke Littler hit that 9-darter. But sticking with Stephen Bunting, and I agree with you, I thought it was getting to a point last night where I was like, here we go again, where he was averaging in those low-end 80s, which was just staggering at some points, to be honest with you. But listen, got past Nathan Aspinall, dispatched world number one Luke Humphries, and I mean, as soon as he went 2-1 up, you prayed that he was going to do it. And I mean, I love Luke, and he's such a phenomenal player. But it took him a little while to go into these games. And in the Premier League, the format, the best of, or the first 11 legs, really the best of. But there's not really much time. If you fold, you pretty much fold. But sometimes, and like we've seen this season, there has been a lot of space for bouncing back. So Stephen Bunting actually deserves a lot of credit for when he was starting games actually quite slowly. There was a few clutch moments that I want to talk to you about, Carl. I thought the 87 checkout on the ball against Gerwyn Price in the final was unbelievable. And I mean, he must have had a bit of confidence as well, because it was the whole fanfare before the play had started where he hit the 9-darter on the practice board. And I was watching it with my flatmate, and he was like, obviously, Stephen Bunting hadn't won a game at that point in the Premier League. And he goes, and it's such a simple thing to say, you don't want to be hitting a 9-darter on a practice board. I mean, yes, you do, because you want your arm feeling good, you want your eye feeling good, you want everything lining up. But as soon as he did that, I was like, please tell me that this is going to be something special that's going to be happening for Stephen Bunting tonight, because you can't hit a 9-darter and then fold when it goes out onto the main stage. Against Gerwyn Price as well, the seventh leg, the big reaction on his face. I mean, you knew that the game was going to be flung wide open then, but then Gezi pulled ahead a little bit. Stephen forced the deciding leg and then pulled it out with a 107 checkout to win it. I mean, I think it's pure testament to Stephen. I can't even speak. I think it's pure testament to Stephen's character as well, Cole.
I think it is, mate. He's like we said. We speak about it every weekend. We haven't got to talk about it anymore. Oh, poor old Stephen Bunting. He still hasn't got a win yet. He knows how good he is. He knows what good a player he is. He knows that he's been getting good results in the last 6 months to a year, you know. And it just hasn't happened for him. Getting results, that is, Harry, you know, in this Premier League. We know he's a good player. We know he's a great player. We know what he's capable of. He's had 100-plus averages, but unfortunately, the other players have had better 100-plus averages than him and have been getting over the line against him. But I think last night, when he won that first game, it was a massive weight off his shoulders. He just let him fly against Luke Humphries in the semi, and then in the final against Gerwyn Price, he just showed the battling qualities that we already know that he had. I mean, he hit that. When you said about the 87 checkout, Harry, I actually thought the 96 checkout to go 4-3 up was even more special. Yeah, that put the pressure back on Gezi, but he won the next two legs, and then I was sort of sitting there watching it. I was thinking to myself, right, Stephen, show us what you're made of. You've got to show us what you're made of now, because Gezi now is 5-4 up. He's one away from the match. What have you got left in the tank? He showed us what he had left in the tank. He not only made it 5-all, like you say, he took out that 107 checkout. Are we going to see Stephen Bunting come flying up the rankings now? Because this, you know, sometimes, Harry, you just need that little bit of something. And that little bit of something for Stephen Bunting was definitely last night.
Well, that's why I come in and say to you now and say if he gets off on a good run at the Euro Tour and Riesa this weekend, obviously the boys are staying over in Germany. Could this be, and I know that he won in Bahrain this year, but could this be his 2025 finally kicking off in the first week of April?
It could be. Who's to say it's not going to be? You know, we keep saying it, Harry. I know we keep saying it. You know, he had a great World Championships. He's had some good games, good results here, there, and everywhere, you know. But last night was massive for Stephen Bunting. You know, I don't even want to say we knew it was coming because we couldn't see it coming. We couldn't see that he was actually just going to get a win. We were going to be happy just for him to get a win, Harry, weren't we? But to actually get the win and go on and win the night, it tells you something about Stephen Bunting and how he's feeling and the darts that he can produce. I think it's good. I think, like you say, if he can have a good run this weekend, that'll be an even bigger confidence booster. And where are we next Thursday?
We're actually in Manchester, so a Scouser is going to Manchester, and even though Stephen Bunting is a crowd favourite, a fan favourite of Bunting Mental, all of his TikToks and everything. Well, I mean, we know the rivalry between the two cities, if it's just geographical, if it's football. But I don't know. I think Stephen Bunting is one of those characters. He's not Steven Gerrard, so I don't know if he's going to actually get booed when he's up on the stage. But I mean, the whole crowd next week, especially in Manchester, is going to be for Littler and Nathan Aspinall, if I had to put it down to it, even though Nathan Aspinall's from Stockport and Luke Littler's from Warrington. But, you know, all of those people from around that area just say that they're from Manchester.
Yeah, but I still think that it's not far from Stephen's home. It's something that he can thrive on. He can build on what happened last night next week as well. And I think that'll be really good for him. He'll possibly have support there. He'll have some friends and family come down. And that might make him relax just a little bit more. Listen, let's just say it like this, Harry. It's great to see him not only get his first win, but also I think it's great for the event, and not only for the event, but for himself, for his own mental well-being as a pro dart player, to actually go on and cap that first win with a nightly win also.
I like to think that that night in Berlin would be really memorable for him at the same time as well. That hopefully it does become the catalyst for the remainder of the year for him, because obviously we have so many majors that are going to be coming up thick and fast during the summer as well, and in later on in the year as well when we build up to the World Championships. But we need to talk about the other finalist, which is Gerwyn Price, because it was a bit of a weird night, and I think this is probably which it probably changed the atmosphere a little bit in Berlin at the same time as well. Because if you're a darts fan, you would know if you watched it last night. Michael van Gerwen didn't compete last night due to an injury, so Gerwyn Price got a bye straight into the semi-final due to Michael's injury. Picked up points on the board. I mean, points on the board without throwing some darts, which is actually unbelievable. And I was actually, it makes you think, doesn't it? Imagine if it was Stephen Bunting that was getting points for not throwing darts. And he picked up a win on a technicality. But listen, Gezi at the same time, I was sad for Michael. I was, but it meant that we were going to get Gezi versus Littler. Didn't happen, because Littler folded under Rob Cross, and we've got to wait until next week now. It's been so long since we've had Gezi versus Littler. But listen, it's going to be the build up to that's going to be amazing. Gezi, as I mentioned, didn't come out until the semi-final when he faced Chris Dobey. Spent a few hours on the practice board and he was ready. 6-2 victory over Chris Dobey. First leg against Bunting as well. We didn't mention that neither of them really wanted it in that first leg. The finishing on the outer ring was poor. Maybe it was nerves. Maybe it was just like Gezi trying to get to grips with everything in the atmosphere because he had missed out on one game already. Stephen, at the same time, he knew the pressure that he was under. What I noticed last night as well, Cole, was third leg, and it happened in a couple of later legs with Gezi as well, sarcastically applauding the crowd, I think due to some whistles. I think it was a case of course, Stephen Bunting was in the final, so I think the vast majority of the German crowd would have wanted Stephen Bunting to get over the line just due to the character he is and obviously the form that he'd had in the Premier League as well. But still, the whistling, you could tell it was sort of getting under Gezi's skin a little bit. So many breaks of throw in that final as well, so it made it a bit... it was kind of like quite tough to predict at certain points because, I think Gezi had an opportunity to actually take the game. I think he mismatched darts on tops at one point as well. Stephen was actually there for the taking at many points, but Gezi just couldn't finish his dinner. And I think this is the first time in quite a while, obviously the Gezi screens of the Huma, obviously happens in near enough every single game. But I think that those are the biggest screams last night that I've seen potentially in a couple of years from Gerwyn Price, Carl.
Definitely in his game against Chris Dobey. He really give it some against Chris Dobey. But where you say about with the finishing in the final, Harry, I think everyone struggled last night. Do you not think? I just saw, for the best players in the world to be struggling on the outer segment like they did last night, I don't think I've ever seen it like that before. And some of them, if I'm going to be brutally honest, which I am, some of it wasn't even close. And listen, I don't know. Were the throws out the back so much different to the one that's on the stage? He's still 7'9.25". Was there something else going on? I mean, you see a couple of the players, Harry. You see a couple of them, they're walking up and they were going like that. And that says to me that there's a breeze or something's amiss, something's not going right. And you can see that some of the players, they were so tentative on their finishing. But Gezi against Dobey, Dobey is as if Chris just sort of like rolled over and let his belly get tickled against Gerwyn Price. Well, he did. It wasn't... He lost 6-2. And it wasn't that great. It was a great 6-2 win, and Gezi just kept, and I thought, well, it's okay giving it some. He still won the match, fair enough, and fair play to him. But I thought, and I've never seen him miss tops and tens so often in my life. How many legs did he win last night on double five?
I know. Did Gezi just have to psych himself up though, because obviously he didn't get to go out in the quarterfinals, and he was on later and went straight into a semi-final. So maybe he just needed to psych himself up from being on that practice board for so long.
See,
and it makes you... Go on.
Sorry, it's interesting you say that, Harry. I was just going to say, funny enough, that the worst thing as a player is not knowing when you're going on. You don't know how long the games are going to take. And like you say, that longer wait that he had, I mean, he had 1, 2, 3, 4 matches before he threw a dart. 4 matches. I mean, someone could turn around and say, yeah, well, he was guaranteed points. Yeah, but as a player, you want to get up there. You want to get up there and get the feel of not only the throw, but the atmosphere and everything that's going on around. 100%. You just want to get up there. And to wait that period of time, it's tough going and it's mentally draining. So I'll give him on that front. But listen, he only had to win 1 game to get himself into a final. He duly won that game. And unfortunately, come up short in the final against Bunting.
Carl, when you're in that situation of getting a bye and then you have to wait, 4 games to get onto the stage, where's your head at? Because you've probably been in that situation before. Like you've mentioned, you've not soaked up the atmosphere yet. And is there a danger that you could burn out and waste all of your darts on a practice board as well because you're getting that extended amount of time?
Well, when it got announced, Harry, you've got to remember, when it got announced, it's getting announced to the world. It didn't happen in 5 minutes. It probably got told. Michael possibly got to the venue, threw some darts and said, no, this ain't happening. It might have even happened before that, Harry. I don't know. You'll never know.
Well, it seemed like an hour. It was an hour before play. It was an hour before the opener of Stephen Bunting and Nathan Aspinall that it officially got announced by the PDC.
Yeah,
so
that's when it officially...
Yeah, I want to say it was about 10 past 5 that it was officially announced.
Yeah, well, I'm not being funny. For a 10 past 5 our time. So 10 past 5, there's 50 minutes to go before you're on air. Obviously, they're an hour in front and all that sort of thing. Michael would have known when he got there. Michael would have got there probably our time, 6 o'clock start. Michael would have probably got there 3 o'clock-ish. I would have said he'd have known after about half an hour. Something doesn't feel right. So soon as the PDC would have been notified that, listen, Michael's not going to play. He's got some sort of injury or whatever. They would have notified Gerwyn Price instantaneously. They'd have said, right, someone get hold of Gerwyn. We need to let Gerwyn know. Because it's all about your preparation. You know, Gerwyn Price would have possibly already been in the building. And not being funny, Harry, it's all right going, yes, lovely, I haven't got to play MVG. But also then, you've got there to prepare for a time to play. And now you've got to watch 4 matches before you even throw a game.
No, exactly.
That's tough going, mate. It's tough going mentally. Not physically, mentally. Because you're just thinking to yourself, I'm waiting around. And you start getting stale, Harry. You start getting stagnant and stale. And the only thing you can do is just keep throwing darts.
Yeah.
And you don't want to leave all your good stuff on the practice board. You want to take some good stuff up on the match board.
Well, especially Gerwyn Price in the week as well, winning on the Pro Tour. was absolutely phenomenal in Leicester. Last one on Gerwyn Cole. Do you sort of feel like, I mean, I might be harsh in saying this, but do you think if he won the night last night, it would have, I'm not saying it would have been unfair, but like, he's not gone on the same journey as like a Stephen Bunting. It's almost like, obviously I love Gerwyn, I love the player, I love the man, he's unbelievable. Yeah. But it almost just felt as if it's like, if Gerwyn actually comes and wins this now, it's almost like putting the game into disrepute, even though it's not.
Well, no, the thing about it is, mate, is, you know, Gezzy's gone there to prepare like all the other guys. It's not down to him that MVG is in a position of an injury and he can't fulfil his match with Gezzy. That's just the way it is, mate. You know, you'll have players warming up at a football match. I know you're a mad, avid football fan, but your star player might be warming up, all of a sudden tweaks his calf or tweaks his hamstring or whatever, he's not going to play, Harry, is he? the manager ain't going to put him in. And so, you know, Michael took that decision that, listen, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel right. Has he made the right decision? Of course he has. Michael van Gerwen has got to look after Michael van Gerwen. And if Gezi had won, people have just had to take it. That's been just the way it is. Gezi's there as a professional player. He's gone there to prepare for a Premier League night in Berlin. You can only control what you're doing, not what other people are doing.
Well, I saw he put on Instagram straight off the back of the final that he was in a bar with two, I think it was a bottle of Belvedere and a bottle of Absolute vodka. So I don't think he was drowning in his sorrows too badly. I think he was just happy to get points on the board. I mean, when in Berlin, you've got to do situations like that. You go to a nice swanky bar and, you know, you just embrace the atmosphere. Cole, I think that Gerwyn Price is going to win the Premier League. That's my hot take for the day. That's what I'm going to say.
That
say what you will.
Come from?
I've just got an energy about it. I just feel like as soon as he turns up at the O2, I think Luke Littler might be tailing off a little bit. And Humphries doesn't seem at it at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just crowned the 2025 Premier League champion, Gerwyn Price. I just think he's playing phenomenal darts at the moment. Yes, sometimes, some weeks, it's a bit this, that, and the other. He's averaging low-end 90s. But when he is absolutely on fire, and I think he's being more consistent than a lot of the other players at the same time as well. I think there's so many elements to Gerwyn Price's game. When he's on top, he is unstoppable. And that's not saying that when Luke Littler and Luke Humphries are on top, they're not unstoppable as well, because they are. But I just think at the moment, I can just see on my birthday, 29th of May, I can see Gerwyn Price lifting the Premier League. I really can. I can just picture it in my head.
I don't know if you're just trying to convince yourself, convince our listeners, or whether it was just a spiel there to announce that it's actually your birthday on finals night. I mean, I don't know what the
It's my birthday on finals night, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm just trying to get it embedded into your head even more because I'm so scared about finals night, and I've told Sue this as well. I'm so scared about finals night because everyone wants to go, and you get people that you work with. No disrespect to them, who will be like, "I didn't even like darts, but I'm going to go anyway." I just have a scary image that I'm going to be outside the O2 on my birthday, not getting into the darts. I'm so scared about that. So
Listen,
scared.
Mate, I'll give you a wave. I'll give you a wave out the window.
Why should you having your hot dog? And you're going into the executive box with Phil Taylor, which could have been my ticket.
No, I doubt that. Listen, we've still got a long way to go. Listen, you're saying Gezi Price is going to win the whole thing. He's got qualifiers yet.
Yeah, that's true.
We've still got a nice few weeks to go. And if Stephen Bunting is back to the Stephen Bunting that we know, he might have something to say about that.
I know the top four is, well, the top two is pretty much done, that third and fourth place, which we'll get onto. It's massive. I want to talk about Luke Humphries quickly.
Yeah.
And we sort of mentioned the flight of the dart in Berlin, and I think he was the one that struggled with it mostly. Got over the line against Rob Cross. It just took a while for him to get going, I thought. Opening legs against Cross. I mean, he really, really struggled to secure any sort of treble 20s in that opening leg. Took him until leg 4 to secure his first max, which is, I know he's not the most, the greatest 180 hitter of all time. Even he says that all the time as well. But it took him until leg 4 to hit his first max. But obviously, took it like Stephen Bunting, took him a while to go into the game. Almost blew the absolute roof off of the UB Arena with a 160 checkout, which would have been amazing. But like you said, the motions that the players were making towards the board, Luke was given that zigzagging motion. Frustrated with the direction which his flights were heading all night. I counted 3 flight changes that he made against Stephen Bunting at the same time as well. And I think at one point, around the 6th leg, Luke was averaging towards 87, which is just mental by his standards at the same time. It was almost like him watching you in your pomp, Cole, with that 87 average. How dare I? It's a Friday.
I'm not only stunned, Harry, I'm hurt by that. Absolutely hurt by that.
I thought you got thicker
Unbelievable.
skin than that.
Listen, what can we say about Luke Humphries that we haven't already said before? He's messing around with his own head. He's overthinking things. He's overthinking stuff, I think. He's given too much away to his opponents. We've touched on that before. His body language, his facial expressions. Listen, it's frustrating. Darts is a very frustrating game, or it can be a very frustrating game. It's a great game, and when it's going well, it's a joy to be doing it. But when you're struggling a little bit and you're trying to do certain different things, Harry, you can do them certain different things. Don't do it in a match. Don't do it in a match. I just think he needs to pick what flight he's going to use. He's got to stick with it. He's got to start pounding the dartboard with it. Get into the groove with it, and just it'll come. It'll come. He's too class a player. He's too classy enough.
But Cole,
player.
if you're in a breezy arena though, and we've seen it so many times like over the years where darts be flying off and whatnot, not being able to hit your destination for the outer ring as well. Though it's breezy, what can you actually do? Because you can't start bringing in a heavier dart because that's not what you practice with. I think Luke Littler plays with like a 22-gram dart. That's what he's played with for so many years now, and that's just what he trains with. That's what he plays majors in. That's what he plays every single game with. But you can't. It'll be lunacy if for a situation like that he went into his little darts case, and if he did have a couple of spares, 24 grams or anything to help with the flight, that's just impossible, isn't it?
Well, not really, no, because it happened in Dubai a couple of years ago when they used to do the Dubai World Series. The actual tournament was played outside. Gary Anderson and Michael van Gerwen actually went up a couple of grams with said darts because it was outside. There was a breeze. And they were both able to produce 110 plus averages. So it can be done, but ideally, Harry, like you say, you don't want to be doing that. You use what you use, and that's what you want to stick with. I think the thing with Luke, I think the green flights that he uses, I don't think they're in production anymore. So he uses them sparingly. So maybe now's the time. It's not ideal. Of course it's not ideal. He's got used to what he wants to play with. But now's the time to start practicing and start trying to find an alternative. Because if they're not going to go into production anymore, Harry, at some point or another, he's going to run out. So he needs to find something. He needs to find... doesn't need to find something. They're the wrong words. He just needs to go back to basics. Go back to basics as to what took him to where he is at this moment in time.
Well, could it be a case of adapting his equipment if he was using, because obviously he's with Red Dragon Winmore, using the fusions, like because we see a lot of the top. Yeah, Red Dragon Winmore. Is it because obviously we see a lot of the target players obviously using the K flex as well in their own design K flex, which seems to be working for them because I think you've got less possibility of the actual flight getting damaged. It's not going to fall off at the same time as well because these are actually high quality darts. But is it taking a leaf out of like sort of their book? So you're just having the stem and the flight connected like it is on the fusions.
It's a case. Harry, the one thing the players can always rely on is the brand who they represent, whether it be Winmore, Red Dragon, Target, Harrows, Mission, whatever the guys and whoever the guys and girls are signed with, they know they can always go back to the company and say, listen, I need something. And the company will say to them, like I say, whatever brand it is, what can we do to help? What can we do to help you? Now, not everyone, Harry, can adjust to the all-in-one. Like you say, some of the target players, Nathan Aspinall was certainly doing it. The K-Flex, Winmore have a similar thing called Fusion. and a lot of the Winmore Red Dragon players are using that. But not every player, Harry, can adapt to that. There are certain length, a certain weight, and it's very different to just having a normal stem and a flight. And not everybody can adapt to that. I'm not sure whether Luke Humphries could possibly adapt to that. Maybe it's something he should try. I know for a fact that Winmore would welcome any ideas from him. He knows the door's always open from us at Winmore to come down and try some different stuff. But he knows that, and he'll work it out in one way or another. And like I said, Harry, he's too good a talent to not bounce back. He's just having a sticky patch at this moment in time. It's just a little sticky patch, a little off patch. He'll get through it and he'll come back bouncing with all guns a-blazing, I'd have thought.
We forget as well, he did win the Winmore World Masters at the same time as well. So he hasn't had a terrible 2025 so far, and he still won a lot of nights in the Premier League. But it's just going to be interesting. And I mean, what I'm looking forward to the most probably this year, of course, you're going to have the match play, you're going to have the Grand Prix. The World Cup is going to be insane with both him and Littler representing England. And we're going to talk about Luke Littler now. Out in his opener. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Out in his opener. 15.38% on the outer ring. Eh? What? 3 Premier League games in a row. He hasn't hit a ton plus average. Sorry, what? Eh? Pardon me? Love to see it at the same time as well. Good old bed and breakfast, 26 and leg 3, giving it back to the crowd. And I'll tell you this, people, no matter what level of darts player you are, pub, amateur, you're a 5-year-old, you're a 50-year-old man, even the best in the world hit a 26. He may hit a lot of 180s, but if you're playing in your room, your garage, down the pub, country club, wherever you are, and you keep hammering that 26, just remember that Luke Littler also hits it as well. I mean, he couldn't lock into his beloved double 10, and we've mentioned all of the missed darts in the outer ring as well. I think, he was really poor in the week. I mean, the Pro Tour's a weird one because obviously, Cole, you'd have played in Pro Tours and whatnot, but I think that I always see someone like Luke Littler probably uses the Pro Tour for like a little bit of practice, a little bit of confidence, but still at the same time we're struggling against Scott Williams in Leicester. But even Luke said, I think he said on the Stick to Football podcast that he's not really too fussed about the Pro Tour, and I think he even said it last night at the same time as well. But Carl, what I've got to say is Luke Littler's performance, the average, the performance on the outer ring, kid's rubbish, isn't he? He's so bad. I'm joking. He's an absolute force. But of course, you could have off days and off weeks. Luke Littler, it just wasn't his night.
Just remember, folks, that was Harry Durham that said all that, not me. Listen, 4 180s, a 177, very crucially, to go 3-1 down. It was 3-1 down at that point. He missed 8 darts in one leg. You just don't expect it of Luke Littler. Listen,
No.
I think I've said it before, Harry, and I'll say it again. Bad day at the office. Everybody has a bad day at the office, mate. That's just the way it is. You forget about it and you move on. And the great thing about Luke Littler, he's that sort of character. He'll just go, oh, well, just didn't happen. And he'll probably come back next week, win next week, and have a running average of about 106 for the night. That's the capability of him. It was a funny game. It was a strange game. Chris Dobie only hit 2 180s in the match. But the one thing he did hit, he hit the outer ring. And that's why he ended up getting through 6-2. I don't think we're gonna dwell on it. There's no reason to dwell on it. Bad night at the office for Luke Littler. Early night for Luke Littler. We're not used to it. It will change. Guaranteed, it will change.
They mentioned it on Sky last night about the finals being very scrappy without Luke Littler. Do you think the nights are actually worse when Luke Littler isn't in the latter rounds? And I mentioned, of course, that people will be going to these nights to see the star boy of darts. So do you think it actually makes the crowd a lot flatter if he doesn't make it through to a semi-final or a final?
No, not at all. It's the night's about 8 players. The whole event doesn't revolve around one person or one player. Doesn't matter how big or how good you are. Because, like we saw last night, if you have a bad night at the office, Harry, you're going home. It happened in the day when I was there. There was the odd nights where Phil Taylor didn't have a good night. And that's just the way it is. That's the loves and lows of professional darts. 1 week is brilliant. Another week it could be, it was okay. Last night was just a bit flat. For some reason, we will get to the bottom of it at one point about was there a breeze or what was going on with the throw, what was happening. It was just I've got to say it was a very inconsistent night from the players, where Stephen Bunting showed his battling qualities and come through the night. And that's all I'll put it down to, Harry. I don't think it was. You can't point your finger at a certain thing. It was just a bad night. Not a bad night. That's the wrong word. It was a tough night for everyone.
I'm starting to. I love the Luke Littler stardom and stuff like that, but some of the interviews that I'm watching him have to take recently, I thought the Stick to Football podcast was so average with Gary Neville the other day. It's like you're talking to him like he's a kid. But it's just almost like these people don't even do their research with him. And he speaks about it. It's just the classic questions of, do you think you're going to surpass Phil Taylor? And I know I've asked these questions before at the same time as well.
Yeah.
But it's like just, there's no like thought or research that's ever going into it. And it's just a bit dull.
Was that the one where they said if we threw 3 random numbers at you, would you be able to tell us to check out?
Yeah,
I actually thought that was. How am I going to say this? Well, I don't really care. I actually thought that was a disrespectful question. Actually, quite simply because, of course, we'll bloody know. Of course, we'll bloody know. We're professional dart players. Our game is numbers. You know, if that would have been like Gary Neville. If I kicked the ball, Gary, towards the goal, do you think you could slide tackle in and clear it off the line? Well, yeah, of course I could. I'm a defender. Well, why do you ask me about numbers then?
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And then someone come up with, was it Ian Wright? Was it Ian Wright that turned around and said he could call any number out against us? We wouldn't know. Yeah. Do your research, fellas. Do your research.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Sorry for almost interrupting you. I've done that to both Luke Humphries and Josh Rock, where I got him to read out the checkouts, and I'm never going to post that video now, Cole. So I never want to
Not being funny. If I picked,
but I understand now.
Listen, if you know you're going to ask a question, if I pick 3 random numbers, would you be able to tell me the shot out? At least have the savvy.
I wouldn't be able to.
At least have the savvy. Let's just say 144, 2 treble 20s, double 12. At least have it written down on a piece of paper in front of you. What about if you want 151, treble 20, treble 17 tops? Yeah, that's what I've got written down here.
Cole, how would you get a
Don't sit there and say that, he could be saying anything and we wouldn't know. How unprofessional did they make themselves look?
I know.
Harry, I'm going to say it like this. How much are they disrespecting the sport of darts through not doing their homework?
I know. It's just, I watched about 10, 15 minutes of it. It might have picked up a little bit, but I was just listening to it, and I was just like, ugh. Like, I respect Luke so much because he's like, well, if I want to, it depends if I actually want to go and surpass Phil Taylor at the same time as well. And it's like, well, he's not going to be a failure if he doesn't do that anyway. He's a phenomenal darts player. Cole, the only thing that I'll say to you now is, how do you check out 69?
Treble 15, double 12. 19 ball.
Oh, yeah.
Treble 19,
you dirty boy. You dirty man.
If you Luke Littler, treble 13, double 15, because he loves double 15.
Yeah, the unorthodox double 15 off the back of the 9 darter at the same time as well. Like we've already mentioned, Michael van Gerwen was ruled out due to a shoulder injury last night. The announcement came around an hour before play. Didn't feature in the Pro Tour this week. With him not participating, of course, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, 0 points. Ahead of the night, Michael was third in the table, 3 points separating third and sixth ahead of play getting underway. Colt, we know how passionate Michael is. We've both spent a lot of time with him. Your relationship with Michael will go back so many years. How gutted will he be that he wasn't able to participate last night?
Oh yeah, of course he'll be gutted. Michael's an ultimate pro. Anytime Michael turns up anywhere, Michael doesn't turn up to make up numbers. Michael turns up to win. Although he hasn't had a nightly win yet in the Premier League, Harry, he's one of these people that when I turn up, I'm the man to beat. And that's what he's like, and he truly believes that. And that's what's made him hang around and be as successful as what he is, because he is that consummate pro. He doesn't turn up just to, okay, let's just go through the motions. No, he turns up because he's a winner. He's a born-bred winner. He'll be disappointed. Of course he'll be disappointed. He could have... Who's to say, Harry, last night, the way it was last night, who's to say that Michael van Gerwen couldn't have won last night? Because, as we've said today, that, you know, nothing blew us out of the water last night. You know, there was nothing that was absolutely stand out to us to say, wow, you know, Michael van Gerwen could have possibly been capable of doing that. He'll be disappointed, but listen, that was last night. Let's just hope that, you know, he'll have this weekend off, get a bit of treatment, and hopefully he'll come back. I'm not sure if he'll even be there now for next Tuesday and Wednesday's Pro Tours.
Yeah, do you think he should take the Pro Tour off just in case?
Well, according to what sort of injury it is, I dare say he'll be getting assessed today, having some sort of assessment, some sort of treatment. He might be told, you know, I'd advise you not to play. Listen, let's just hope, fingers crossed, mate, he's available to play next Thursday, because Michael is where he is, that professional person. If they turn around and say to him, Michael, you could really aggravate this. You could really aggravate this if you play next week. We want you to have 2 weeks rest, complete rest. I think Michael would possibly heed that warning, and he might say, okay, and he'll have to inform the PDC that he's not available next weekend either.
God, they really could make his Premier League campaign like quite nuclear in a way, couldn't it? In the sense that it's just, you can't help an injury at the same time, but that could just derail everything, couldn't it?
Well, it's getting to a point now, mate, where you're coming up to busy times now. You know, the year's creeping on already. You know, we're into April now. You've got World Series events coming up, of which Michael's part of. You've got World Cup to think about, which you've already spoken about. Straight after the World Cup, not long after the World Cup anyway, you've got the World Match Play. And then you've got a tour down in Australia, more World Series events in Australia and New Zealand. And so it starts getting really, it's busy enough now, Harry, but it really starts getting busy. And we're talking majors. We're talking big events. And Michael van Gerwen will not want to miss big events. So if he has to forsake a couple of Premier League nights, and if that does actually mean that he doesn't qualify, I think that's possibly something he'll have to look at.
Rob Cross this week as well. There's a period in his opening legs where he was averaging 116, went 3-2 up, and then just wilted at the same time as well. We've seen it a few times this season already where Rob will storm ahead into a lead and then someone will bounce back. But then, of course, it makes you think about that Cardiff game against Gerwyn Price where Rob, out of nowhere, hit the big fish. Nathan Aspinall was an interesting one as well in the opening leg. In the driver's seat against Stephen Bunting, I thought at one point, and couldn't secure a checkout. Even busted hitting a double 13, not as intended target, it was a double 4. And like I said about Luke Littler hitting the 26, everybody, if you bust on the wrong double, it's okay. Even the pros do it at the same time. I mean, I must do it at least about 5 times a day. But still, the pros do it. It's all right. The 1-1-2 checkout attempt in leg 4, I thought the tables could have turned if he found that double 16 for Nathan. Still racked up 5 180s and a ton plus average against Stephen Bunting. And Cole, this week, I'm not going to ask anything darts about Nathan because I know that he'll be frustrated. He could have closed the gap on MVG. Before the play, Nathan joined talkSPORT this week and said, spoke about how much of a lightweight Luke Littler is on the beers. So of course you were out with all the characters back in the day. So I asked Colin Lloyd who the biggest lightweight was that you used to play with on the beers.
Lightweight, as in tight and not going to the bar and couldn't drink a lot.
Lightweight. Well, we can split this into two now. Tight and not going to the bar, and lightweight as someone that couldn't handle their beers. So if they had a half pint of shandy.
Alan Warner Little. Tight.
Wasn't good on the beers.
Drink for toffee. He'll love that when he sees that.
So not only could
listen, it's not just a case of sort of like having a few beers and being a lightweight on the beer. A lot of people don't drink beer, Harry, do they? They like having a gin and tonic or something like that, or a Southern Comfort and lemonade and stuff like that.
That's just not darts, though, Colin. Darts is pints of Guinness, disgusting ales. This is where darts is going woke, Cole. I mean, as soon as someone turns up with a Southern Comfort to the Oki, that's when we know that the game's completely gone. And I love my spirits, but it's got to be lager, a stout, or an ale, Cole.
I was going to say, when you say about with Southern Comfort, it didn't do Robert Thornton any harm in his career, did it? And I thought I didn't do too bad on the gin and tonic, funnily enough.
No, there. That is a great point at the same
time. At the time, no, Harry, I did like a lager, and these days I don't know. It just must be my taste buds. I love a Guinness these days. I do love a pint of Guinness here and there. But sure, listen, it doesn't matter whether Luke Humphries will just chuckle away to himself if he's being called a lightweight on the drink. He'll just say, "Look at my resume. Look at what." It was
Luke Littler. Luke Littler that's the lightweight. Did I say Luke Humphries?
Luke Littler's the lightweight. Yeah, well,
yeah.
I'd like to be that lightweight as well and have all the titles that he's won.
Who is obviously? I've got to ask you this question. I asked about the lightweight. Obviously, you don't have to go down this road anyway. Who was honestly the best drinker that you ever saw in darts? Like that could just put away anything and then just still play unbelievably.
What pints?
Pints.
Big Cliff Lazarenko. No one touches Cliff. No one gets close. The only one that would go close, I suppose, for beer would be the Viking Andy Fordham. But Big Cliff Lazarenko back in the day, you didn't get stuck with Big Cliff. I did once, very early days, and we were playing in Fintanar in Northern Ireland, and ruined me, absolutely ruined me. We were at an exhibition, funnily enough, and absolutely ruined me. It ruined me that much that 2 days later I won it. But no, seriously, it ruined. Well, I was gone that night, put it that way. And the following day I was still a little bit edgy, but Big Cliff. And listen, Cliff was just, and I don't mean that to sound like Cliff or Fordy alcoholics or nothing like that. They were in the sense they were big characters. Had huge fan base, always approachable, gentlemen. They were gentlemen. Every time Big Cliff had anyone come towards him, he made time for everyone. Had absolute time for everyone. And the same with Fordy. They just loved a beer. And I don't see there's any harm in that. I know darts gets a lot of bad press because of the alcohol stigma that goes with it. But listen, at the end of the day, mate, I a lot of us, we're just nice everyday people. We've come from working class backgrounds. It just so happens that we play darts and we like having a beer. And those two guys were great people.
Listen, night 10, April 10th, on the way. The AO Arena, Manchester, the quarterfinals as followed. Chris Dobey versus Michael Van Gogh, and hopefully Michael will be back. Nathan Aspinall versus Rob Cross. Luke Littler versus Gerwyn Price for the first time in a couple of weeks. Honestly, I think it's the best game in world darts at the moment, just due to Gerwyn having the record that he does against Littler. And just, Gerwyn, I think, is in Luke Littler's head a little bit at the same time as well. Stephen Bunting versus Luke Humphries. Quick look at the table then. Luke Littler still top spot, 26 points. Luke Humphries second, 6 points behind him with 20. Gerwyn Price up to third on 15 points. Michael Van Gogh drops down, of course. The injury didn't help him out. 13 points, still in the top four. Rob Cross in fifth, just 1 point behind Michael Van Gogh. And Nathan Aspinall trying to catch up, sixth on 10 points. Chris Dobey on 7 in seventh spot. And Stephen Bunting, still bottom of the table, but got his first nightly win, 5 points. Colin Lloyd, all I've got to say to you is have a good weekend. I can't wait to see you very soon. I love you very much. Thank you for today. And please, can you tell the watchers and the listeners to like and subscribe just down below, please?
No bother. Have a great weekend, pal.
And the last bit.
And watch and subscribe.
Hey!
On the link below.
See? Hey, if that doesn't make you subscribe, what will? Because I tell you what, it's not me that's making you subscribe. It's yours.